So, like I said, we will hit on some NFL draft needs with just about 6 shows before the NFL draft starts in 3 weeks on April 23rd. We'll give you all 32 teams what they need on the what their needs are for this upcoming draft and how they can sort of address them going forward. So we'll do the entire AFC East, so the Jets, Dolphins, Bills, and Patriots. And we'll also take the Steelers from the AFC North and add them in to this at least edition of NFL draft needs. So we'll start with the Patriots. Obviously, they were in the news a lot this free agent cycle, depending on the future of Tom Brady. And at least to me, obviously, Tom Brady goes Tampa Bay. The lead's a hole theoretically, despite Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer being now the quarterback position. But the Patriots do need some big-time help here at a few different positions. And at least for Bill Belichick's sake, he's been great in the draft, really utilizes the draft more than any other team, and doesn't really rely too much on free agency. And at least he has a ton of ammo, at least to rebuild his team, especially because the Patriots are, they don't have a lot of cash. They're pretty high up against the cap, so that's also part of the reason why they weren't really able to make any free agency moves. So this draft's going to be huge for them. They have 12 picks. They do have their first round late in the first round, 23, and 3 third-round picks. They lost their second-round pick in the Mohamed Sanu trade that didn't work out, at least for the second half of the year last year. We'll see, with a full year in the system, if he can get better. But to me, at least, the biggest need the Patriots have right now, and it's a glaring need, is line help, both offensive line and defensive line. Last year, because of injuries, that was a key. But their offensive line was one of the worst we've seen in the Patriots era in a long time. Now, again, injuries hurt. You had David Andrews, their center, missed the entire year last year with a blood clot in his lungs. He should return this year. Again, we don't really blood clot. It's not a normal injury that the NFL you can have timetable for. Unlike if you get surgery, have a broken leg or a torn ACL, there's a timetable for that. This is a little different. This is obviously a lot more serious than just a torn ACL or a broken arm. So we think David Andrews will return back to anchor that line at center. But there's no guarantee that he can return, and then obviously missing a year, return to his normal great play at the center position. Same thing with Isaiah Wynn, who's a left tackle. He's very talented, but injury prone. He's played 8 games in 2 years. He missed the entire first year of the torn ACL, and again was in out of the lineup last year. Just played eight games in 2 years. And this is going to be a theme, at least for this week's edition of Draft Needs, because offensive line, you can never have too much depth, right? Injuries happen, poor play happens, and that is the area, maybe the position the most that there's always not a lot of talent abundant-wise that you can go out and get. So where anytime you have ability to stockpile talent, especially on the offensive line, it's never a bad thing. And there's always a way you can figure out how to incorporate good players that are backups into the rotation. So depth is definitely a big thing. And right now the Patriots, their depth is poor. So offensive line, it has to be maybe the main focus, especially if you're going to have a young quarterback in Jarrett Stidham be the starter or bring in a journeyman backup like Brian Hoyer. Either way, they're going to need some protection more than what they gave Tom Brady last year. So at least to me, offensive line is going to be a huge key to have to address. And defensive line-wise, they need a pass rusher. They need a pass rusher bad. The last 2 years, their leading sack guy or their second leading sack guy has gone. Trey Flowers 2 years ago led the team in sacks, left for free agency, went to the Lions. This past year, Kyle Van Noy, second on the team in sacks, left, went to the Dolphins. So there's the hole now. 2 years in a row, you had a really good edge rusher for the Patriots leave to go somewhere else in free agency. And when you look at the edge rusher position, it's safe to say it's the second most important position in the NFL behind quarterback. It really is. If you have a quarterback, you're set. The best way, or really the only way right now that we've figured out, is to how to beat a young quarterback or beat a franchise elite quarterback is get pressure on them. And the best way to do that is with a pass rusher. So again, quarterback number 1, pass rusher number 2 in terms of positional importance in the NFL. And especially look at the landscape of the AFC. You have to take this into account too. There's a lot of young, mobile, and franchise quarterbacks that are right now in the wings and coming up. You have Lamar Jackson just won the MVP this past season. 2 years before that, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP. You have Baker Mayfield out there. You have Deshaun Watson in Houston. There's a lot of young mobile quarterbacks right now in the AFC that are up and coming that are going to be here for a long time. Patriots need a pass rusher to get pressure on those quarterbacks, throw them off their spot, and really get them off their rhythm. So those are two, at least the line is going to be extremely important this year, both offensive line and defensive line in terms of getting an edge pass rusher. And 2, tight end. I mean, obviously they had Ron Gronkowski. They have a great run at tight end, but at least last year, you saw basically the Patriots at least hinted at a lot that they were basically relying on Rob Gronkowski to return. Right, he retired 2 years ago, or I guess at the in last offseason he retired, and there was at least some thought that he would come back. He's still pretty young, obviously a lot of injuries, but he's still pretty young. It's Gronk, he'll party for a few months, and then midway through the year, maybe he doesn't want to go through training camp, misses it, comes back, and it seems between Robert Kraft, between Tom Brady, they spoke a lot publicly and kind of hinted at the fact that they think Gronk will return. That didn't happen. And I think now it's safe to say he's not going to return. You saw, if you're a WrestleMania fan, he won some sort of belt. I'm not a WrestleMania fan, to be honest, or a wrestling fan, so I don't know exactly the details, but I know he did win something last night, and he's kind of getting now, just transitioning to that part of his career. So I think he's going to come back. And so you now have two tight ends with Matt LaCrosse, Ryan Izzo. They're not going to get it done. They're not going to get it done. And more importantly, too, with a young quarterback coming in, and most likely we think Jarrett Stidham is going to be the quarterback, tight end is a great matchup weapon in the NFL right now, where it's tough to guard. These players are so athletic, and it's a matchup nightmare. Having that weapon for a guy like Jarrett Stidham would really help him settle in and be more productive. So I think those to me at least are the three keys that the Patriots have to focus on this upcoming draft: offensive line, pass rusher, and tight end. Obviously, Bill Belichick has enough ammo to do it with 12 picks, and he's always found diamonds in the rough and gems in the late rounds. I would expect that to happen again. That's at least what the Patriots have to look out for. The Bills, to me at least, the theme for the Bills, and they have 7 picks in this draft: keep building and build on strength. And what I mean by that is this. So their offensive weapons right now, they need them badly. Keep building in terms of the offense. Last year, they were 23rd in points scored, had the 26th ranked passing offense in the NFL. Now, they already started to bolster that. They made a trade for Stephon Diggs from the Vikings. So that obviously now you have a number one bona fide wide receiver for Josh Allen to throw to. Last year, you had John Brown as a number one. He's not a number one wide receiver. He's better, especially in a complementary role, and now he'll do that as the number 2 receiver. So to me, at least, now you're starting to build the offensive line, build offensive weapons. Keep on building. Keep giving Josh Allen more weapons to throw to. So that's whether it's a tight end, whether it's a wide receiver. Wide receiver, especially in this draft, there's going to be a lot available. And not just in the first round. You hear scouts, teams talking, this is going to be the deepest wide receiver draft in a very long time. The talent is high, and there's going to be a lot of receivers going early on in the first round, but there's enough talent to where you can get someone in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 5th round. That's going to be a very productive piece for your team. So at least for me, the Bills have to keep on building with offensive weapons, and really, they rode the defense last year, had a great year, but they had a chance. They left some points on the board again, 23rd in points scored, and the 26th ranked passing offense. That has to improve if they want to be a legitimate team, especially now in the AFC where the boogeyman is gone. The guy that dominated them for 20 years in Tom Brady is now gone. A lot of people are saying, and you look at the roster-wise, the Bills probably are the team to beat. They have a great roster, especially on the defensive end. And you saw last year, they pushed the Patriots. So it is there for the taking right now, the AFC East. And if they want to take it, keep building on the offense and get Josh Allen some more weapons to help ease the burden on him and make his job easier. Because as we saw, the biggest knock on Josh Allen so far, the 2 things: 1 is accuracy, and 2 is decision-making. He made some bad throws and bad decisions. Go back to the playoff game when he tried to lateral it and almost cost the Bills going overtime because he threw an ill-advised lateral instead of going out of bounds or keeping the ball that, thankfully, the Bills' sake went out of bounds. His decision-making is questionable, and his accuracy is not the best. So if you're going to continue to give him weapons that can separate, that can make the throws easier, that will help his offense, again, score more points and help improve the passing offense. And just like the Patriots, and again, this is, another theme for a lot of these teams that you'll hear over the next few weeks because, like I said, quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. Right behind that is pass rush. And the Bills especially are going to need a lot of help because they're 2 top leading sack players from last year. Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson, both left to free agency. Phillips went to Arizona. Lawson went to the Dolphins. And the Bills, they were decent. They were 12th in sacks last year. But they need an extra edge rusher. They have some nice interior piece on the line. Ed Oliver, I do like, and I think he'll only get better and better as it goes. But as we see, and as I just laid out for the Patriots, the AFC is littered with young quarterbacks who are mobile and are dynamic and going to be franchise, if not elite quarterbacks. The best way to minimize them is by throwing them off their spot and getting pressure on them. The Bills desperately need an edge rusher in this draft. They don't have a first-round pick. They traded it for Stephon Diggs. But again, there's ways and there's enough that the Bills could find, at least address those two needs. And finally, I would say on the defensive side too, because like we said, we said keep building on the offense and keep building on your strength. The defense last year was the strength of the Bills. And keep adding to that by getting a pass rusher, and keep adding to that by drafting a cornerback. You have Tre'Davious White, who's about to get paid heavily, and he is a great corner. On the other side right now, that's where the question mark is. They signed Josh Norman. What does Josh Norman have? At this point, I would not say a lot. Right? He's only really regressed since he's left the Panthers. He hasn't really done much with the Redskins, and now it's kind of a reclamation project, if you will, here with the Bills. It's maybe a nice stopgap at the most, but at least drafting another corner to pair with Tre'Davious White. 'Cause you got to think that the Bills are going to extend him, and that means Tre'Davious White will be a Bill for a long time. Draft another corner to help develop him, so you have a dynamic tandem on the outside to shut down a lot of these passing attacks. Especially, too, if they struggle, at least this year, with signing a pass rusher or drafting a pass rusher or developing an edge rush, well, guess what? If they can't get home and can't get pressure on these quarterbacks, the secondary is going to be more tested. They're going to be more stressed. So really trying to add to that strength and draft great players that could, cover. It's a tough, obviously, position, but if you can get some players, some athletes out there to try to lock down some receivers, it will make the defense even better. So that's for me, at least. I would go offensive weapons, receiver, tight end. Just give Josh Allen weapons to throw to, and then the defense keep building on your strength, which is the defense. Get a pass rush and get a corner.